I really would like to start something educational, but I don't want to do it as a NGO or an NPC. I would like it
Fantastic.
to
Fantastic.
solve the problem and also that it becomes a self-sustainable business. So that's when we started a company called Namaqualand Tutors Pty Limited.
Yes. Avshen, everyone, and welcome to the Economites, where we have candid conversations on critical issues. My name is Nikom Giba, and today we have a very exciting show for you. I'll be speaking to someone who's not only a good friend of mine, but is also an accounting student and a startup entrepreneur, Justin Isu. What makes this episode so compelling is Justin's story. He was faced with a very difficult journey coming out from Springbok, Northern Cape, moving to Johannesburg to study, and then moving back home to start his own business. We will speak about this journey, the challenges, and also share a few stories on the varsity days. Hope you enjoy. So, Justin, how are you, my man?
I'm good in yourself. Thank you for allowing me into your personal space.
Thanks. Thank you so much, Justin. We really appreciate you being here with us here on the Economites. And hopefully it will be a very, very candid conversation. I would like us to deal with a number of things because you're a person who has done many things. I'd like us to talk a little bit about your business, Namaqualand Tutors. But before we get there, I'd like us to speak about your childhood because you were born in Northern Cape, right?
So I was born in Springbok,
Yeah.
close to Springbok called Nababi, where I was actually born. It's an old mining town where the OCC were mining copper for quite a lot of years. This side, but it's currently closed down. This side, and it's just a normal mining town. So I was born this side about 24 years ago, and I lived here ever since. I stayed with my grandfather and grandmother, as well as my mother from day one. And then I started schooling here in Springbok, in Persig. So I started my primary school career at Dr. Isaac van Niekerk Primary School. And then I moved on to join Namaqualand High School in the CBD of Springbok. So yeah, that's basically my journey where I started, where everything started, I guess.
Were you a good scholar? Were you a good student in high school? Or were you a naughty boy? Or was it one of those things? What type of student were you?
I think I tried the best of both worlds. Yeah, so I grew up in a predominantly colored community. A few white people, very limited black people in this area. So it's a predominantly Afrikaans community. People, the schools are Afrikaans. There's no English school anywhere close to us here,
Yeah.
besides a small private school. So I was quite a good student. I tried participating in everything. Leadership was quite important for me in school
Mm,
level.
mm.
Academic, I was doing quite well. Yeah, so accounting and mathematics were my two subjects which I enjoyed the most.
Now, fantastic. We're going to get to the leadership side of things. I'd like us to speak about the essence of the Northern Cape, because I remember reading a book that my dad got me. In fact, he didn't get me; he just got it. In fact, he got it about 10 years ago, before I was born, and I was born in 1993. So you can imagine it was an old book. It's about the South African border wars, and because Namibia played such an important role being the conduit between South Africa and Angola. The Northern Cape played a very, very significant role because it has the border between South Africa and Namibia. I'll never forget a quote I read in that book by a farmer who described the Karoo. He said, "It's so vast and so big and so quiet that this is the place where God comes down to think." That captured my imagination about Northern Cape, about how vast, how empty, and how quiet it is. Can you just describe a little bit so that the people that are listening and watching can get a true essence of what it's like in the Northern Cape?
Yeah. So what? Let me start by the Northern Cape itself. So
Yeah.
we basically look at Springbok, if you look at the South African map, you would see that Springbok is about 140 kilometers away from the Namibian border. So it's an hour's drive all the way to Vioolstra, and then you will get the Orange River, and then you can cross over to Noord-Oever and Oranjemund
Yeah.
on the Namib. So it's closer for me to go to Namibia than to Joburg. uh, my fellow friends and peers have asked me, what's happening in the Northern Cape, and I've told them there's a huge amount of nothing. Um,
Yeah.
I'm not meaning it in any bad sense or in a bad way.
Mm.
It's just so much open spaces. I know I was privileged enough to bring two of my friends from Joburg to this side to show them actually what I meant by the open spaces. We are rich in minerals,
Mm.
but there's so much space. If you look at the distance between towns, it's ridiculous. If you look at what you travel in other provinces, for me to get to Kimberley, it takes me 8 hours. It's 800 kilometers,
Wow.
and in between a few towns, but it's not. It's completely open spaces as a majority of the road that you take from here to Kimberley.
Wow. Yeah. No, it's in fact, it's one province which I really haven't experienced properly. I've experienced all the other provinces, except for the Northern Cape, but then that will change. So now just switching gears, Justin, now you did well in, high school, and then it was time for you to decide where you want to go for your tertiary education. Now you chose UJ because that's where we met. But how was that decision, deciding on what to study first of all, and then where to study, and why Johannesburg?
Okay, so this is quite a funny story as
Mm.
well. So I applied. I told myself when I looked at the Tuka bursary application form that I'm
Yes.
gonna apply at all this university just to make sure that I get this bursary. But before it, I was privileged enough to join the SAICA leadership camp
Yes.
for grade 12 in Cape Town, which was I think in the year 2014. I joined the June camp in Cape Town, where this dream was sold to me that the accounting industry is especially the CASA
Mm.
um, is the way forward.
Mm.
So I really enjoyed the people I met there. I enjoyed everything about the camp. And then I realized that this is something that really speaks to me. This is something that I might want to do.
Mm.
So the application form, I applied at a variety of universities. But
Mm.
if you know from my community or my school specific, in the Namaqualand district, we only know Cape Town. We only push for Cape Town.
so so
Um,
so Justin,
yeah, you,
like you said, you only know Cape Town, right?
yeah,
Now, what on earth made you choose Johannesburg? Because we only know Cape Town.
we'll get to that now.
Okay.
So basically,
Yeah.
I applied. Um, and then I got a few rejection letters. I got a few acceptance letters.
Mm.
I remember mathematics mark in grade 11 wasn't that good. I messed up a bit in the final exam, so
Mm.
I had to give some convincing arguments why certain universities must accept me.
Mm.
Then first, the University of Free State got back to me, and they told me that they are offering me the Tuka bursary there,
Mm.
and I gladly accepted because I know quite a few people around this area that actually goes to Bloemfontein.
Yeah.
Um, Also 1,100 kilometers from here, but but it's okay.
It's
so
far, man. It's
basically,
far.
yeah. So basically, I that was my first choice because I received the Tuka bursary there.
Mm.
I applied to UJ simply because the application process was easy and it was completely free.
Mm.
So I I didn't even imagine me ending up in the UJ.
Mm.
So what happened is about 2 weeks before I was supposed to leave to Bloemfontein,
Mm.
um, a woman called me from UJ,
Mm.
Ilse Karsten.
Mm.
She's Dr. Ilse Karsten now, and she called me. she offered me the bursary there, and I declined it because I've already accepted at UFS.
Mm,
2 days later,
mm.
UFS gets back to me and tell me that they were forced to decrease the amount of bursaries they're giving out, and I'm unfortunately one of the candidates that fell out.
Wow.
Um, I had to put my pride at a different location now and
Mm,
um, take the phone and call Ilse and ask if that offer is still valid. She agreed and she told me no. If I was a few days later, the bursary would have been given to someone else, but I'm still in time.
mm.
That Saturday, we drove to Johannesburg, and I
Yeah.
arrived at residence. I think that's the day we met.
Mm, no, that's a fantastic story, Justin. Just to give a bit of context with what I want to ask you next is that you stood out. In fact, I remember the day when you first came in. You stood out not only by appearance, for obvious reasons. You and another girl were the only. No, it was about three. It was about three, right? Three people who were colored. So you guys kind of like stood out, but your character stood out because you were the first person to greet every single person that came in that day. And not only that, I'm not sure if you remember, when the Zimbabwean students came, remember that day? You
Yeah.
were the first person to actually go and greet them. And there was a bit of a divide, a bit of tension. I'm not sure if you remember that. There was a bit of tension between the South African students and the Zimbabwean students, which was very unfortunate. But there were a few people from either side that were making the effort to reach out to the other students. And you were one of them. So that whole thing of you looking to the other side, trying to break barriers, so to say, has that always been a thing that has been instilled in you from your childhood days, or is it just something that you said like, okay, new place, Johannesburg, let me do something different? What was the pushing factor? What pushed you to do those sort of things?
You see, the thing is, I didn't really had such experiences in school,
Yeah.
and when I arrived in Joburg, I realized that I'm completely unique. Um, there's no one like me. I always knew it, but
Mm,
at that moment it just became true that I looked around and I was like, no one knows me.
mm,
I have a clean slate. I'm here for the right reasons, and I'm gonna make it a memorable one.
mm, mm,
So I just started trying, because you must understand the context now that this was also my first experience, or it was my first time in Joburg, to be
mm,
clear.
mm.
It was also first real experience with African people.
Wow.
I never really, besides the Psycha camp,
Mm,
I made a few black friends, and
mm,
I've tried to keep in contact with them, but
mm,
that also happened a year before that. So it was a space of now me getting out of my comfort zone.
mm.
My biggest challenge was now there's no Afrikaans. I have to push English completely.
Yeah.
I know I was so happy to see some people, some of the RAAs and some of the HKs that actually understood Afrikaans, and
Mm,
it was so nice. And it got me to that point that I wanted to learn more cultures. I wanted to learn more
mm,
languages. I
mm,
remember especially Zimbabwean students arrived, and I was like, this is the perfect opportunity to
mm.
actually learn what their culture is about. I've
Yeah.
only heard bad about
Mm,
Zimbabwe. I at that moment I didn't hear any good news coming from Zimbabwe. So I wanted to get insight. I wanted to talk to them. I wanted to know
mm,
how is it really that bad?
mm.
What language do you guys speak? I know they told me Shona, and I wanted to know how do I greet, and
Yeah.
it's a common goal for me to every day when I see them to learn a new word,
Mm,
and it was really me getting out of my comfort zone, and I enjoyed it so much.
mm, mm. No, fantastic, fantastic story, Just. Now switching to another topic, in fact, academics. Now, first year things went well. You're doing accounting, right? You're doing chartered accountancy. The path for you to become a CA has been set. You know exactly what you have to do. You have to pass your undergrad, to pass your CTA, do articles, and you're done. So the first year goes well. Second year even goes better, right? Or is that where the wheels fell off? Or third year, the wheels fell off?
Second year was quite good for me.
Mm,
I know I felt one of the semester modules, commercial law, but
mm,
then I passed everything. Um, I had some struggles with informatics and stuff, but then
mm,
I pulled. Um, and then I went into third year with just carrying one of the semester modules from second year, but
yeah.
it's true to say that third year was the year that the wheels came off.
Is it?
I've this whole degree have learned me so much.
Mm,
I haven't obtained my degree yet, but it
mm,
learned me. I've learned so much through the whole process. I came back to the Northern Cape and implemented so much of
mm,
what I've learned in that degree. Um,
mm,
it actually one of the big things it actually showed me the the inner me, how
mm,
I can actually use this, what
mm,
how I would like to be a business leader and
mm.
not just be a accountant and know
Sure,
everything when it comes to
sure.
auditing and so on. So I decided during my first attempt in third year, I'm starting my first business.
Yes,
Um,
yes.
so although the year wasn't successful for me,
Mm,
academic and passing third year, I felt a great
mm,
appreciation for 2017 because that's when I launched my first business venture,
mm,
and it was there that I found myself even more through the whole process, and I could see what I enjoy more. I would rather be in a business meeting or doing accounting practical for my business
mm.
than do question bank full of accounting questions. So
Question banks. I haven't heard the word question banks since a long time, my mate. But before you go on, I would actually like us to spend a bit of time on that transition from school to starting your own business, because that's very, very scary. Because, like I said, your path was set, right? The fantastic thing about the chartered accountancy program is that your path is set. Now, for you to leave that path, albeit temporarily, for you to leave that path, that must have been a very difficult thing for you to do. That first venture that you did, what was that? And how's it
okay,
going? How did it go? Can you get into a little bit more detail about that?
okay. So while I was running around doing my academic stuff and being
Mm,
involved in student leadership at
mm,
RES and doing quite a few things, I know I was very much into the competitions that came with the degree in with SAICA and all
mm,
the business partners of launch always have some sort of competition for CA students. So I was really into these things and the networking opportunities and
cool.
everything
Yeah.
during. So I went back to the drawing board and I've realized why is education for me so important and why is there so many uh, why is there so little amount of colored people
Mm,
in UJ. I went on campus and I've started to look around and I've seen that um, you can find quite a bit of every culture, of every race, but this a serious problem with the amount of colored people that's actually at the institution of higher education.
mm,
So I went back to the drawing board. I made a phone call to my high school friend who's also doing the chartered accountant degree. He was at that time he was also doing third year, and I spoke to him and I was like, Bruce, it looks like me and you are, are representing the whole colored nation here because
yeah.
he, yeah,
Mm,
because he was studying at Stellenbosch at that time,
mm,
so he didn't see. he had more exposure to
Mm,
people similar to me and him.
mm.
So I told him that I really would like to start something educational, but I don't want to do it as a NGO or an NPC. I would like it
Fantastic.
to
Fantastic.
like solve the problem, and also that it becomes a self-sustainable business, and have a massive social impact. So that's when we started a company called Namaqualand Tutors Pty Limited.
Yes.
So the first 6 months of the company's journey, we just started a Facebook page, Instagram page, a Twitter, a Twitter account,
Mm,
and we were just trying to test the waters.
mm,
So we would go back and strategize, and then we would see that so many of our friends that were doing high school with us is still based in Springbok, and it doesn't really have prospects of leaving
mm,
Springbok at any time.
mhm,
So we actually made a few phone calls, a few WhatsApp messages, and we engaged with them and said, "This is what we would like to do. We
mm,
know you were quite good in mathematics at school.
mm,
You were quite good in Afrikaans, English, and so we decided to actually advertise a tutoring service on our social media,
mm.
where we would request we would advertise that we are able to help learners coming from grade 1 all the way to grade 12, with the in-house service. If a tutor would go into the house in a single hour, with any academic problems that arise during the academic year for that specific
Yeah.
learner.
Yeah.
So um, so we took a few of our friends and we charged a fee of about 80 rand an hour, and we told them what you make, you take. So for the first 6 months, we didn't make any profit. It was just we trying to test the water. So as soon as this thing got up and running, we couldn't keep up with the demand.
Wow.
That's when we were that's where we were completely sold and said, no, there's definitely a market. We need to formalize this business and take it further. So on the 1st of December that year, after everything has calmed down, schools is
Mm,
about to close. We registered as a formal business, and then we started to strategize on how we're gonna actually run this
okay.
business, coming the year
Yeah.
28.
So tell me, Justin, um, your best your best years at Namaqualand once Namaqualand is fully operational. In terms of your peak financial year, how much money did you guys make? How much money did you turn over?
Okay, so in our first full year of operation was the
Mm,
year in 2018.
yeah.
Um, we, we managed to get a turnover of about 350,000.
Mm,
Um, to Yeah, so it was just less than 400K.
mm, mm.
So we were profitable, because at that moment we didn't have any overheads to cover,
Yes.
because it was simple. Parents call, we go to the house, we
Mm,
do our thing, we go out, they make an EFT payment into our bank account. So that was our business model for the first full year of
mm.
2018.
So sorry to just cut you. I just want to make some things clear for our listeners and our viewers. So you said that you turned over this much and you were profitable because you did not have any overheads. Can you just explain to everybody what are overheads and why are they so significant?
Okay.
Mm,
Okay, so overheads, as I would see it, is the fixed portion,
mm,
of a fixed portion of expense that will always be there, even though you are doing business or you don't do business.
mm,
So that will be stuff like water and electricity, your rent for a
yeah,
building,
yeah.
your telephone account. You might not make a lot of calls,
Mm,
but there's still going to be a person that needs to
mm,
be paid every month.
mm.
So just in general terms, I know you can get a nice meaning from a textbook, but that's my perception of overheads.
No, that's fine. That's fine. That's fine. So you said the first year you didn't have that because you were mobile. Whenever business called, you went there, and instead of them coming to you. So meaning that you didn't have overheads and then in the following year you ended up having overheads. What were those overheads that you had, and how did you juggle that now? Because now profit margins were being shrinked because of the overhead expenditure. How did you handle that, and what were the overheads that you experienced?
Okay. So what happened is the 2018 year academic year finished now,
Mm,
and we are planning to into the 2019 academic year.
mm,
Our biggest challenges was the lack of technology use
mm,
in the Macworld.
mm,
Um, so not a lot of people were actually keen of doing online payments. They were not keen of
mm,
yeah, using credit card to credit card system to pay the tutor fees.
mm,
Some of them didn't have a banking. They can just do instant payments, and some of them still wanted to actually come to us and speak
mm,
about the progress, to speak
mm,
about the child's how's it going? Is there any progress?
mm.
What do we need to do? What's the plan of action?
Yeah.
Next step. So we were faced with that challenge at the end of the 2018 year.
Mm,
Our biggest communication medium was WhatsApp, and we were excluded quite a number of people by just using WhatsApp. So we had to
mm,
actually people were looking for landline number. People were wanted to send SMSs. So we had to implement a lot of these things, and we started off by looking for rental space, for office space,
cool.
where people can actually come and discuss, meet up with the tutors, and also start just come there to make a booking at the office itself, because that's what a lot of parents preferred. And we were not able to provide it during the 2018 academic year.
Mm, mm,
So we started getting our office came with a need for full-time personnel, because all our tutors were part-time tutors, so they were getting paid an hourly rate for the work for the work they've done. So there were no fixed amount that they receive every month. It's
mm.
you do the work, we pay you for the hours that you put in. So now we had to get full-time
Full time.
personnel, office. That was the first thing, and then the building also came with the expenses. Suddenly you need Wi-Fi, you need a printer. So there was so much that was happening in such a short time period. We were able to cover it because we had some leftover money from the previous year, some of our
Mm,
retained earnings, and we're also now becoming credit worthy. So we were able to get a business loan, a small business loan. We were able to get an overdraft facility. We were able to get a credit card. I think this were good things at the time. But as the journey goes on, you would have maybe I me and my business partner, we had a conversation. Maybe we're taking it too fast here. Maybe we're just implementing one thing at a time and not everything at once.
mm.
But this helped. This helped because in the 2018 academic year, we made about we were very much profitable. Not profitable. Sorry, my words. My words. Our turnover were quite. We were double the previous year, almost double. So we got about 700 and something k, which
Mm,
was in. So what happened is now suddenly the turnover rises because we get more exposure. There's a sign in front of our building. People know where to find us. So it. But now you still have holidays, you still have school holidays, you still have a long December holidays where no academic activity is taking place, and you still have to cover all of the expenses during that time, all of the overhead costs
okay.
and stuff like the rent. Um, yeah, so that's where things got a bit difficult. So that's at the moment we can fast track to pre the COVID-19 pandemic.
Sure.
We
Sure.
can see that.
Before we get there, Justin, you mentioned something pretty important, which I think will be worthwhile for us just to revisit and just to talk a little bit about, and that is um, your capacity to deal with high demand. In fact, you told me that that once you got some things in place, your turnover doubled. In fact, it doubled, it almost reached R1 million. And also, you also spoke about your partner. You mentioned him a couple of minutes ago, but I want us to speak firstly about the partner. How did you choose the partner, or rather, did the partner choose you? How did you know that this is the right partner? Because I know there's many small business owners who are doing everything themselves and they're getting overwhelmed, and they need help clearly, but they don't know who to trust. So, can you just speak a little bit? How do you choose a partner? And also, how do you deal with when a business was profitable and because it had to incur overheads and other expenditures to move forward, the profits started shrinking? How did you adjust to that?
Okay.
Mm,
So first thing, my business partner, his name is Randall van der Heever.
mm,
So me and Randall, we met at high school.
mm,
So we came from two different communities. He came from the town that I was actually born in Nababib. He stayed there and he did primary school that side.
mm,
So when we moved to Springbok at high school, we met there, and he became my biggest competition at school level.
mm,
So because it was mathematics and accounting, and that's where we were competing.
mm,
So we went to the cycle camp together. We applied for the Tuka bursary together. We applied
mm,
for a few other bursaries as well. So his journey went that he got accepted at Stellenbosch University, and
mm,
I got accepted. So because we study in the same thing, we always kept in touch. Because I would always go to my phone and ask him, where are you guys with accounting currently? Are you guys Have you guys done this? How do I do this? Because he would be able to explain these things for me in Afrikaans, which I wasn't able to get it every time with my peers.
uh,
So and when I and it became like a soundboard to
mm,
me. He would run ideas past me, and I would do the same.
mm,
So um, at the end of that year, so on the 3 year journey, we actually kept in touch. Holidays, when I get home, we'd always do a coffee just to catch up
mm,
and complain. That's what we did the most. We complained about how how tough university
mm,
life is and how tough the whole degree is. So when I got this idea, I was like, this guy always thinks too much about everything.
mm,
So I was like, I'm a risk taker. I can't take on a business partner that's just gonna take risks with me. Sometimes it's calculated risk, but also sometimes I just do some things before thinking. So I was like, that's the honest truth. I need to find someone if I want to pursue this thing that's gonna actually overthink sometimes and actually ask the right questions. And I was like, I need to find Randall in this. So because we are so far apart, him being in Stellenbosch and me being in Joburg at the time, it was a bit difficult. But I couldn't find anyone that knows Namaqualand better, and also have the same or similar background with the accounting journey, everything.
mm.
So I was like, this is the person I would like to have on board.
No,
I
fantastic.
ran the idea past. He definitely agreed. He also saw the opportunity,
Mm,
and then it was just now getting our heads together and see how we can actually do it. Um, Over the time period, he actually went on. He pursued his honors. He's done his CTA. He passed his first board exam, and is now currently doing his second year of articles at Ernst and Young
okay.
in Cape Town.
Mm,
So he's still going strong with the CA journey. Yes. So basically, what happened with your other question regarding the business not being
profitable.
that profitable
Mm,
when it too much overheads or overheads cost which
mm,
increased so much. So basically, that's the it's more of the current situation that we also are faced with, because if you the whole COVID-19 lockdown situation also caused us to close our doors
mm,
for temporary closing our a while, because of our safety and the safety of our learners as well as our tutors. So basically, what happened is that overheads were still coming on with no money coming in.
Mm,
We had
mm,
to negotiate with rent. We had to negotiate with payment holidays on our vehicle, our business vehicle. We had to negotiate on quite a few things on how to solve it. So I don't really have a answer. I'm currently working on a strategy how to approach um, the current situation, and also how to deal with overheads growing and business growing as well, but overheads growing with a bigger percentage. So we can say things like we're going to limit overheads and cut down on this and cut down on that, but if the business needs to grow to a massive company,
yeah,
overheads has to grow as well. So it's just a process of us finding the right ratio. How profitable do we really want this business to be? Um, because our aim is to have a social impact and a self-sustainable business, but our aim is also to have a business that can also declare profits on
yes,
a yearly basis. It it is only our third year in business.
mm,
So we've read a few articles. A lot of experts says that the third year is usually where the business makes it or it fails.
it does. Yeah,
So we're at that stage of our business now. We definitely have established that there's definitely a market.
yeah,
We've also established that the private sector are more than willing to get on board.
mm,
By what I mean by that is that last year we had a contract with one of the Vedanta Zinc International Mines here close to us, just 100 kilometers outside Springbok, where we were actually getting paid from the mine to deliver a service to the children at the local school. So if we can get more and more of private companies and more of private road players on board, we can definitely take this thing to the next level.
no, fantastic,
Um, but
fantastic.
but but we've also moved towards getting more skills on board, getting becoming a space of skills development. The last few years, I've tried to equip myself. I've done assessor training, moderator training. I've done facilitator training. I'm pursuing a course writing course soon now. So it's a case of us now seeing that our people has to travel quite a distance to go to university or to go to a college. We have our local TVET college
Yeah,
around here, but it's the only access we have for tertiary education. So we've now established that this is our next route to actually not just help people at high school level or at primary school level. We want to complete the cycle. We want to start helping them at primary school level, moving up to high school level, and then also help them to gain necessary skills and in the near future to actually have accredited courses which they can actually do in Springbok itself, and then obtain a qualification in that manner.
no, fantastic. No, thank you, Justin. Now, one more question before I get to our lightning round. I see you mentioned it quite a number of times, how you want to do good. Do you believe that it is possible for you to do good profitably, or do you think the two are mutually exclusive? That if you go for profit, then it automatically thinks that you're just thinking for yourself and not necessarily for the community. Do you think that the two can marry each other and live in perfect harmony? Doing good profitably. Does that make sense to you?
It definitely makes sense to me. The thing is, what I also believe is that if you solve a problem,
Hmm.
you're gonna be in business for. Um, that's basically my understanding of doing good. If you're solving a problem, um, and you turn something bad into something good, and you charge a fee, people are more than willing to pay for it. And that's what I mean verify this being true, and it's definitely positive because that's what our aim is, to solve a problem, academic problem, create sustainable jobs, because that's one of our pride, proud moments of Namaqualand tutors is our job creation capacity. Although it's part-time jobs, it's jobs that put bread on the table for many young people and many tutors in the Namaqualand area. It's also a opportunity where people, after graduating from university and there's no job lined up yet, it's also a job that they can come to and share their skills with other people before they're pursuing their career.
Now, cool. Thanks, Justin. So we're going to finish off with a few lightning round questions. Now, the word lightning means that it must be quick. Okay. So don't even
Oh,
think about it. The first answer that comes to your head, that's the one that you should give. What's your favorite meal?
I will try.
What's your favorite meal?
Fried place.
Fried place. No, fantastic. What's your favorite sport?
Definitely tennis.
Tennis. Who's your favorite tennis player? Nadal, Federer, or Djokovic?
Roger Federer.
Oh, okay. Very disappointing, but yeah. Anyway, now thank you so much, Justin. I really appreciate the time that you've given us here at the Economites, and you're doing a fantastic job. Not only are you solving a problem, but you're doing it profitably, and you're doing it sustainably. And with that being said, thank you so much.
Thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it, and I would love to share my story more often. So, if I can inspire someone, I'm definitely going to do it.
Wait, Justin, before we go, how do people reach you?
Okay, they can find me on any social media platform,
Mm,
Facebook, Instagram.
mm,
On Facebook, my personal account, but I also have a page which they can join. It's Justin Donald Esau, but
mm,
they can also follow my business, Namaqualand Tute,
mm.
Pty Limited. And they can find it on Facebook, or they can search us on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is Namaqualand_tutors. So they can find us there. Even on Twitter, they can find me there. Yeah, email, whatever, they can find me on social media. They will find all my details there.
Thank you so much, Justin.
Thank you so much.
Well, there you have it. This has been a candid conversations on a variety of critical issues. What was significant for me was Justin's honesty and sincerity. This was exemplified by his remarks on race and his willingness to expose himself to uncomfortable situations in order for him to learn. He's young, ambitious, and full of potential. In a few years down the line, I'm sure we'll be hearing more about Justin Esau and Namaqualand tutors. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much, and enjoy the rest of your day.